What's good, everybody?
Yes, sir.
Welcome back to the Perspective Podcast. Yeah, the proper name is the PrefeQ Perspective Podcast, but we all know why I don't say the proper name because nobody else can say it right. So, welcome back to the Perspective Podcast. We're happy to have you. You are probably realizing at this point that our most recent video is actually, it's a lot older. That one was done like May something.
The last one you put out?
The last one I put out was me and Alex.
Oh,
But
yeah.
then that was from the day we did me, Alex, and you and me. So I was wearing the same
Wow.
big pause. But yeah, I was wearing the same shirt, big tell, but whatever. That one with Alex didn't get released until a little later. But yo, what's good with the views, guys? You don't like Alex? Come on, yo. I gotta have a sit down with him and tell him he gotta step his game up.
Turn up. Turn up. Show everybody some love here on the podcast. It's Realty Ryan. I'm back in action because I've been going for a little while.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Been spending a lot of time out of state lately. I'm working my way out of Connecticut, 1 foot at a time. But I spent the other week in Atlantic City, checking out the timeshare as an owner.
Yeah.
Fraud alert.
Oh.
And I'm sorry to get to y'all so late with this one, but in the episode before last, I talked about getting the timeshare and renting it out and stuff like that. Well, guess what? Turns out that was some more scam. Credit scam alert, fraud alert.
Oh, no.
Be careful. So one of the things about home ownership and when you purchase property, if you don't do it like with certain LLCs registered in certain states where they're not allowed to share your personal information,
Right.
when you make a purchase of real estate or anything like that and your own name is basically public knowledge. So the same way we get calls about different things, scam type stuff,
Right.
Don't be surprised if you pick up a piece of property, including a timeshare, and you start getting these weird scam calls of people saying to you that they want you to rent out your timeshare through them for someone else, and that they're going to pay you some money, and you got to pay some type of advertising fee. Don't fall for it, because unfortunately I did. Everybody gets caught, you know.
Right.
Something I never dealt with before, so I was able to retroact that, get my money back. And funny enough, after I retroacted it, that's when the lady who I initially dealt with it
Yeah.
finally hit me back talking about, oh yeah, I see the money didn't go through. Like, lady, we've been calling you for weeks trying to even situate this deal
Right.
with no return, but now all of a sudden the money goes back to me and back in my account.
Right.
Now you're calling and picking
Now
up the
she's
phone.
calling.
So yeah, be careful out there, everybody. Like, there's always a different way. So whatever you're doing, research. I should have reached out to the timeshare company that I work with personally before like doing any deals with
Right.
any one third party to make sure that they're legitimate. Now, were they truly a scam? I don't know, but I feel like it was due to the lack of communication.
Oh, for sure.
They did have me sign like an e-sign with them, but who's to say they wouldn't do whatever with that, or that the terms in that e-sign would have not worked in my favor had things did proceed.
Right.
So I just want to make sure that people know that. Never want to put anyone in a situation to get taken advantage of. We try to educate you guys and keep you out of messes like this, even if we're the ones going through it. So,
I mean, exactly. I mean, like, and even as we were talking about some of the stuff that was going on, we did mention, like, yo, it's always homework that got to be done before you make any decisions.
right.
And it's great that you're sharing that. I know that we recently had a fraud seminar. It went great. We were requested to do another live seminar, and we got to put that on the calendar
Definitely.
because it's crazy, yo. Anybody could get got. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
They got us at home. So
There you go.
We
On
got-
the home. At home, on the home.
on the home. So we got to do something to let people know.
Right.
I mean, I know that everybody's job is doing these trainings because it's like high value targets, you know. You when it comes to workplace, you have a lot of information that you can get from getting someone on a simple email fish scam. So it's a prevalent topic. You probably heard it in many different situations, but real estate can be a whole different ball game, and especially if you're not familiar with some of the ways that they can get you. You know what I mean? If you're not familiar with what's going on, they can easily get you. And it's a walk in the park for them if you're unaware and you're blind going in with no knowledge. You know what I mean? So we don't want that situation for you. And we're trying to build the base of knowledge, especially to prepare you, to make it available for you, our audience and our clients, everybody. So when something happens, we know the best way to respond in your interest and for your interests, right? So that's great, y'all. I mean, I'm glad you got that all backstepped. You know what I mean?
Yes,
You
sir.
hit Control Alt Delete. You know what I mean?
And rectify the situation. The other
Right.
tip for everyone is when you're doing things like that, if you can, use a credit card, not a debit card, right? Because
Right.
there's usually better coverage for fraud, easier to get your money back faster. Most debit cards do have some type of fraud recovery.
Right.
But it could take a while longer. I've had someone steal my credit card number and buy $1,000 phone with it, and that
Oh.
situation was rectified within days because the
Oh.
credit card company just does not play any games once you let them know that's not a purchase you did. So when you can and usually try,
Yeah.
just like with online shopping, I try to, with third party sites that I don't know, I try to use PayPal or something so that I know that I'm covered if they send me some craziness.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. That's basically what I do too.
I'm just saying.
Unless I made like a virtual card or something, because I know Capital One lets you do
Yeah.
virtual cards.
Yep.
They don't even let you. They don't even let me add it to my card to my wallet. They let me do a virtual card, and that's it. So I think that's convenient because Apple Pay is like the death of a lot of people. It's a slippery slope.
Right. That Capital One on the Google account is how the person got the phone up off of me.
Oh.
But the Capital One has the notifications on it
Right.
where you can make it so that every purchase sends a notification. So
Yeah.
when I'm in my bathroom getting in the shower and I see $1,000 phone
Said
on
ding.
the Google store,
Yeah.
I know what time it was. You know what I'm saying? And we rectified that quickly.
Well, was it no question? No, was it your Capital One like regular or was it a credit card?
No, it was a credit. What do you mean by red? Like the bank?
Yeah, like
Yeah,
like
no, I don't bank with them.
Yeah,
but a Capital One is a great starter credit card for people who have no
sure.
established credit.
Right.
So, it's my first card, and like I always tell everybody, your first card, you should keep that.
For like
you should
almost
always
ever.
forever, yeah, basically
Right.
forever, because it's gonna carry account history with it that is going to make it your longest account. So if you close it, then you'll close your longest account, and that only hurts your credit score.
Terribly.
So we don't want to do that. It's hard to recover.
Really hard. And don't make it a store card.
Yeah, the store cards are like cell phone bills. They don't really do much for building credit, but if you don't
Right.
pay it and you get it messed up, it'll hurt your credit.
It'll
You know what I'm
mess
saying?
you up.
It's like light bills and stuff. People think that paying your light bill has something to do with your credit. It absolutely does not until you get in a negative way with them. So
Right.
no store cards. Although some store cards do report, but it's probably not as credible. So just get a general credit card. Like I said,
Right.
this is not a plug, but start with a Capital One.
Start with something that makes sense.
Yeah, something that you know you're gonna get approved for.
And
Don't take that hit.
On that note, I mean, I know that didn't Discover just recently merge with Capital One?
It would make sense because that's a card that's not accepted everywhere, and I'm sure they'd like to be.
Right.
So,
Right.
a move like that would make sense. But
Make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
They're both generally like newcomer friendly companies. Discover, it can depend.
yeah, I mean, I remember seeing Discover since I was a small kid.
Right.
But you always knew it wasn't taking a lot of places like Discovering Amex, but Amex is kind of like a big dog now, and Discover is still
Yeah.
like the little black sheep of the family or something.
true.
So a merger with Capital One or MasterCard or something.
Somebody would make sense.
Yeah, it would make sense for them to make sure that they can get, like, especially now, there's barely any stores, everything's online. You want to make sure that you're cross-platform as much as you can be. So,
Right.
yeah. Which do your research, folks. Like we said, we're not financial people. We're not saying it's something that's happening, but something that might make sense if it's happened. Wow, I'm just blowing up every which way.
Yeah, somebody's trying to get a hold of you. Ryan's a busy man.
Yeah, it's a
I could
lot
barely
going on.
schedule this with him.
You know what I'm saying? No. I
You know?
love the podcast. I love the podcast. I love the support. Shout out everybody. 2,000 subscribers on our way to 3,000 subscribers. We might even be there right now. Who knows?
Yeah.
But shout out to you guys. I've been doing a lot of in and out, most definitely. But we
Yeah.
definitely want to have a special episode just to celebrate the fan support. We appreciate the comments and suggestions. Anytime you guys, correspond with us, we're going to correspond back. And a lot of times, Romano, if he gets it, he shoots it to me.
Yeah.
We love interacting. So please feel free to reach out to us. Give us questions you have, things you want to know about in the future episodes so that we can make sure we're staying relevant to the questions that people have.
Right. And now that you just reminded me, I guess it's proper for me to give you an advisory that we are looking. Well, I'm looking to rebrand the channel a lot. The podcast will remain. It will remain a podcast, of course, on the channel. But it'll look a little different in time. We just gotta choose of the thousands of names,
Right.
which ones make sense for what we're trying to become. And that's all I'm gonna say on that until there's actually more to say on it. I'll further along the lines of what we've been up to, though. Wait, were you done, Ryan?
I mean, sure, yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I don't. What was I doing?
Holy.
I was just running events, honestly. And there's an event that I just kind of like put together, and it's called Wild for Wildlife or something like that. Because you know how like most places always got the like dog photo competitions.
Dog photo competition?
Right, like they'll put together like brackets and they'll have you submit pictures of your dogs. Like some people's jobs do that.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, my job actually just did something like that.
Right, I'm telling you, it hits close to home. So I put something together that was just like the wildlife version of that. I was been working on it for the last couple of weeks. Aside from the other what's happening in Connecticut videos, if y'all seen that in our shorts, it's probably buried in all of the breakdown shorts for our podcast, which it seems like a lot of people definitely see our shorts for our podcast. You always appreciate the viewership on that. And we keep our eyes out for comments,
Right.
Any support, anything, feedback, whatever it is. Always feel free to drop it. We are paying attention. But yeah, I have the what's happening in Connecticut stuff that is kind of moving forward. At this point, I had to pause everything because my drone broke. Well, not my drone. Our brokerage drone.
Oh, yes.
That belongs to our broker broke. And because that broke, I couldn't get aerial stuff. So I had to go and find a drone a different way. And I did get a drone. And it's fun.
He's playing within the building and all of that. He's not playing around. He's flying it over to dinner.
I'm saying.
He's having a good time.
Yeah, no, it's real lit. So I'm probably going to throw in some footage of East Hartford because we are an East Hartford based company. At this point, we don't have any branches elsewhere. So I kind of got to start highlighting East Hartford. Come on. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm going to throw some aerials in there. The city looks nice from up high.
Ain't much here, but we working on it.
I ain't say from down low. But it's funny you say that because another part of what I'm trying to do with what's happening in Connecticut and the rebrand of the channel, even though this is not more, but it's just a little sneak preview, is that I want to move into the explanation of municipalities, cities, boroughs, like I was mentioning. Yeah, I want to move into that space and the explanation of why East Hartford being dry as hell right now and what they're trying to do is going to be a part of that. So because there's a lot.
So we about to get lit in East Hartford?
I would hope they navigate this well, because at the moment you know you're East Hartford native at this point.
Yeah, my favorite store is the Family Dollar.
Bro, The Family Dollar.
And I have so many in East Hartford to choose from.
What's your what's your craziest story in like East Hartford? What the hell would you call Family Dollar? Like not a grocer, but like a discount like pharmacy type of thing.
Crazy story.
If you can't think of one in like a grocery discount, whatever the heck I'm trying to say, corner store type, Family Dollar's not a corner.
All right, so I'll just say
Retail.
this.
There it is.
I ain't even gotta. I'll say it like this. Everybody who knows, who lives out here,
Oh, God.
knows that the place it goes down is Krausers. Krausers is where it gets lit
Yo.
on a late night because Friday night, Saturday night, probably even on a Thursday night,
Yeah.
everybody coming from the clubs and blah, blah, blah ends up down there and sometimes get a wild. Krausers been damn closed down for a while because it got a little rowdy in there. There's been
for real?
footage online of people getting beat up in Krausers. One time there was like a dude beat some girl up in Krausers.
No
He
way.
like put her through like the Coke machines.
Dope.
Like, I wasn't there. I just saw the video. But
Through the Coke machines?
Yo, he hit her with the hee-haw. So, yeah, I mean, that's one of the places where I think it goes down the most. Funny as hell. Yeah, when my daughter was younger and we would go there to get, like, a little chicken steak or something like that, because I
Right.
love my chicken steaks from Krausers, she would be scared to go in.
Not scared.
It
to
was
go
so
in.
many like weird people outside that she just felt intimidated of what was going on inside,
All right,
and
that
she
makes
would
sense.
never
That
want to
makes
get out of the car. So I taught her the protocol of locking the car when I get out and windows up and all of that. So she be on that, Daddy, can I just stay in the car? You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, and y'all all met Ryan's daughter. In fact, one of our top performing episodes.
yeah,
We had 12K views on that.
that's crazy. I thought it was 10. Damn.
Yeah, it jumped. It really jumped. It jumped quick. I mean, everybody's probably like, "Yo, what y'all talking about? All these views? Like you're getting 1 million of them." I mean, for a channel that just started 3 months ago, we really appreciate
Going
the
up.
views. That's all I'm
Yeah.
saying. We appreciate the hell out of the views. And with his daughter's introduction in that video, y'all knocked it out the park.
Real talk.
Y'all was
Appreciate
interesting.
that.
Y'all was interesting. But
Yeah, that was a
apparently-
good. I enjoyed that episode. Honestly, I just watched it back fully like this week.
Yeah.
And it's a good episode. It has a lot of different content, a lot of different subject matter that goes across different ages. And I think that's why it's hitting so hard because it's
Right.
personal, you know, and like, I mean, that's what we're trying to do. That's why we're trying to rebrand things so this is not just real estate, because the thing we want people to understand is we're trying to help people, trying to educate people, and trying to assist with the movement and the evolution, both in a like financial world and the workforce and in our personal lives and our homes and our families and stuff like
Right.
that. You know, once again, as minorities, we go through a lot in our communities, and a lot of times we have to overcome a lot. A lot of us are doing a great job of taking our hardships and using that as fuel for the fire of developing on our children. But there are areas out there where people still don't have the benefits and are just living very hard pressed. You know, you see it on TV, you see a lot of ignorance online of things that are going on. And I'm not saying that to insult any of the people even that are doing these things, because in my mind, they just don't know any better, and the wrong environment creates the wrong habits.
Yeah.
So, you know, we want to put the light on it in a positive way to say, hey, like, why are you moving like that? You should move like this. One of my biggest pet peeves about inner city stuff, you know, being that I'm somebody who, like, I come from single parent home, like, my mom never really had a lot. We really didn't have it. My dad was in the streets when I was young. That's when my mom moved to Connecticut. Like, I could have really been out there because I knew since young that, like, my dad was in a different type of lifestyle and my
Right.
mom was more of a straight up worker. So, like, just like I wear this little yin yang here, it could go either way.
Yeah.
You know, but I didn't want to do that. I hate when I hear people in the inner city say that they didn't have no other way, that the only option was to sell drugs or to do some craziness. Because in my mind, if you know how to walk the walk and talk the talk, who knows where you're from to judge you, to say, You know what I'm saying? I could be straight off Edgewood or Garden Street or
Right.
Mather or any of that. If I know how to put some khakis on, pull my pants up properly with a belt, wear a button up and, oh my God, maybe even a tie, and talk with a proper and not sound like I never had a piece of education in my life, then I'm sure I could walk into anywhere and secure a job, no
Right.
matter of what my home address is, because they would know that I have some sense about me, that I'm educated, and I'm invested into myself as far as a individual and knowledge base.
Right. I mean, what Ryan says stands, right? If you have the ability to make yourself into a productive individual, you should certainly not choose the easier option.
It's not the easier option though. You think the easier option is standing on a block where you worry about an op or a cop trying to catch you while you trying to serve a rock?
Oh.
Y'all niggas need to stop before you get popped and dropped or end up locked.
Oh. You
I'ma
dropping
stop.
bars.
I'ma stop.
Okay.
You feel me?
And in honor of the bars that Ryan was just spitting, you know what I mean? To get real deep, because the origin of the suffering that rap came to represent is the fact that people that may or may not look like us, people that are different from the normal, no matter what the normal is, I'm not trying to say what the normal is. Every single place on this earth has a normal, and there's people who are different from it.
Right.
Simple fact. On some philosophy shit. That's just a straight fact. There's always a normal, no matter what kind of group you're in, and there's people who are different from it. If you're different from a normal, trying to fit into a normal, right? Trying to fit into something that you have the ability to do. You could throw them khakis on, right? You could throw the tie on. You could do whatever that you want to do to try and become something acceptable to the normal.
Right.
But then what happens to some people is that they find it difficult to sit there and be deconstructed, if that makes sense. Because then at the end of the day, you go home, you wonder who you are, because you got to come back to that same crowd. You got to come back to that same environment. Everybody doing the same old shit, right? But the people you go to work with may not be experiencing that. So then you get caught into this like grinding reality that is, it's interesting because now it's very social. But as we progress as a society, especially freaking America, we're gonna get that in homes too. Like as a whole. It's not gonna be just nature and nurture and crap. I'm throwing terms out there, but it's tough to explain.
That's where we at. So, all right, that's where we going. So, like, what is that, Darwinism? That say like
I was going more towards intersectionality and the diaspora of our people. Yeah. I had to. It's getting so deep. You might need some shea moisture. The way we drying up over here.
Oh God.
Yeah, did I even see? Yeah. Daily hydration body oil. No Diddy stuff though.
Nah, it's for my knees. I was a little ashy when I came in. I didn't had some hand issues in some previous videos. So, that was always one of my strong points growing up, is knowing how to like blend in whatever my environment is. And that doesn't make me fake or anything, because all of these are the aspects of me. You know what I'm saying? If life were a book, right, I'd be the main character of my story, and any main character should have many layers about them. So it's like the variation of things that I find interest in blend in the same way of the variation of the people that I could be around. Right. So who's to say? It's enough. My daughter will tell you, I teach her, is about knowing how to act and when to act. Like you catch me talking in the streets, I might be talking pretty reckless. Right. My mouth might be a little foul, but I'm not going to get on the podcast here where I'm trying to show people my intellect and that I'm a trustworthy, educated, and tell them bump this and F that and da-da-da-da-da. Like, it's not the place for it. So it's simply knowing there's a time and a place for everything.
So you code switch, and you've imparted the ability to do so to your daughter.
I mean, listen, I can't teach something like that. We all should know, like I said, how to move in the world we in and how to interact with the different, people, which who's to say she can switch pause as good as me, because I'm talking I could be in the straight hood,
Right.
chilling with some bad people,
Right.
and then turn around and go deal with some politicians afterwards if necessary. And
Right.
not to say I'm gonna feel completely comfortable in both atmospheres. I might feel a little, but that's not even to say I might feel more comfortable in the hood just because the person I'm with is more welcoming, or I might feel more comfortable in that political area or with these professionals because they're welcoming. So it's more so how people are interacting with you, how level of comfort they give you to just
Right.
relax is
Yeah.
more so it.
No, that makes sense, and then that really ties into what we were saying earlier of you might face a certain difficulty going into one environment versus the other.
Right.
Doesn't mean it's the end of the world,
Right.
because any and everybody who looks like you, any and everybody who's different, has to go through that situation.
Right.
And like I said, as we combine as a people, and there's all these mixed babies being thrown out, they are gonna have to live and breathe that kind of interaction. Like, yo, imagine I have a kid that's like, not me. No, not me. Imagine you got a kid, right? That's
Don't put this on me now. What are you doing to me right now, Romano?
yo, imagine you got a kid, right? Half Creole, half Latinx. You know what I mean?
Shit.
So what you got right there? They got to deal with their deep African roots, their deep Southern roots. You got the deep African, you got the deep Southern, and then you got the current modern American Southern, right? And then you got the freaking immigrant Spanish, right? Let's pick
Damn, where we coming from? We ain't getting a Rican. We out like out of Ecuador or something like that.
Yeah, yo, I can't even dissect it because it's so many different layers to that shit. Because even myself, bro, you got Taino, you got French, you got
Right.
all this
Yeah,
shit,
that
and
would
that
be a
makes a
lot, isn't it?
Jamaican, right? That equals a Jamaican, right? That equals someone from DR, right? And then what that equals someone from a state down south is gonna be two different.
Wait, who the hell
tonalities.
would be Jamaican?
I mean, no. I'm saying like in
Or-
the term, the terms are
You
very
switch it to
general.
you now?
Right. So
Okay.
what makes a Jamaican, which is me, yeah, right. Look, I'm switching back and forth. That's the problem.
Okay.
What makes a Jamaican is a lot of like pieces that make a
Right.
whole.
It's like a Creole person from Louisiana.
Right. So I can say I'm Jamaican because I was born on the island. That's my idea of nationalism and being whole. But that's not necessarily the case, because if you were to break apart a Jamaican, you are many different parts. The island does not have just one, oh, we just Jamaican. Nah, there's Dutch Jamaican, there's German Jamaican, there's some,
That's crazy.
there's all of that on one island.
Right. That's not even that big.
That's not even that big. So imagine the rest of the world, and everybody likes to run around and pretend that because they are in a normal majority, right, that they are any different from a minority, because at some point the script was flipped. At somewhere in the world, the script is flipped.
That.
So it's like,
the minority is the majority.
you know what I mean? Yo, I'm telling you right now, we all forget that we all human.
Right. The term is derogatory in itself, minor or major. Who's to say?
Right.
By
But
whose standards?
we are going into sociology,
Yeah.
but really we belong in real estate.
That's it. We
So,
are realtors. We
let's-
are realtors. Hartford area, we are realtors.
The
You need some
860.
help. You reach out. We'll spread out a little bit farther into Connecticut if needed, if you're real about the purchase. But yeah, Hartford County and beyond, we're here. If you need an agent, you call Realty Ryan or Romano the Realtor. Plug.
Well, Ryan just went into full voicemail mode. But yeah, no, seriously, we are beyond real estate. We're people. We have
Right.
different perspectives on life. But at that point, we can provide what is professionally needed to people of any background, because we understand that it doesn't matter where you stand, no matter what side of the line you're on, we can help you cross it to a closing. You know what I mean?
That's it.
Home ownership.
That's it.
So, in light of that, we got to kind of let's walk back over to our main topic today, which I didn't disclose, but it's really the evolution, because you mentioned this a little earlier, is that we want to help people as times change.
Right.
You kind of really you brushed on that, but times have changed.
Right.
At this point, we're experiencing a historical average in interest, which is higher than most people are used to within the last 5 years because of all the craziness that's been happening, right? But we're still historically averaged out, but home value has been skyrocketing.
Right.
So, in an effort to kind of balance that, people have moved towards the tiny home trend, um, and mobile homes are becoming more
Or
popular.
modular.
Yeah,
Modular.
modular. The they're not really that god. I mean, their parts are modular. You can swap it if it gets old.
Right.
But I would like a modular home to be like, I connect this mobile home to another mobile home and I get a bigger mobile home. That's what I think modular, but that I might be just
Well, so like in Louisiana, they have like double wide trailers and
oh
stuff.
oh
So, and the cool thing about down there, there's people who take like the trailer
yeah.
and build a house like out of it around it.
Oh, you mean like
Like they'll knock out a wall of the trailer and like start building around it like into a house. And then like I have like basically a family member. It's
yeah.
a husband and wife who when my mom was a kid, when she moved to Louisiana, they like washed her till she was older and did her hair and stuff, and then she washed
Oh
their kids.
yeah.
And they live like right across the street from my grandma. When you look at their house, it looks like a house, but in reality, it was originally a mobile home, a
Wow.
trailer that they converted into a house.
Wait a minute. You saying trailer like as in like trailer as in like camping trailer, or are you saying trailer as in like shipping container trailer?
No, I'm talking about like the RV park right over there. Well, not a
There
RV,
is
excuse me, not a RV park.
right.
The mobile home park
Okay.
right over there.
Yeah.
Those I call like trailers. Like that's what they call them down south.
No. That
They
makes sense.
they
Makes
call
sense.
them trailers. So you say
There's
a double wide, basically
double wide.
mobile home.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally like my dad. Congratulations, shout out to my dad, Dwayne Parker. He just copped his home too.
Oh,
First time
congrats!
home
Clap it up.
buyer. You know what I'm saying?
Clap it up. Clap it up for pops.
Yeah. Pop spent a lot of time locked down and he came home and got straight to business, got the car, the house,
Nice.
and everything else lined
Yeah.
up. And I'm very proud, very glad that he came home and made the right choice with his
Got
life.
serious. Yeah.
He now works in the prison system and goes back and helps
Wow.
the people to basically adjust and learn how they would adjust
Right.
to coming out of that. And after doing almost 20 years, who could tell them
Gee.
better and to like hit the ground so hard running. So
Right.
very proud of that. But the moral of the story is, before that, you know, him and my aunt were staying together. They had a trailer that has 3 bedrooms, 2 full bathrooms in their trailer. And central air.
Damn, that sounds pretty nice.
Like, so I mean, it is what you make it. People crack jokes and stuff,
Right.
but sometimes, especially nowadays, if you to buy like a brand new trailer, it's gonna be pretty lit. You know?
No, it's gonna be pretty state of the art.
Yeah.
The only thing you gotta really watch out for is that you gotta know what you need in addition. So, like, if you're buying a brand new trailer, you gotta decide whether you want to park it in a park or you want to buy some land and park it on there.
Right.
And then go through the trouble either putting well and septic if you're out a little bit more in the sticks and you don't got public sewer and water. There's infrastructure that goes with the mobile home. I mean, you don't really need it because you could truthfully move it around if it's like a trailer, like you
Right.
can move it trailer. You can just go dump it and come back, but then you got water issues too, so you got to go fill up water somewhere and come back. It's like you really got to grapple with what your comfort level is when you go into the mobile home category or the trailer category, because just like how I didn't know what Ryan was really talking about at first when he said trailer, because there's the trailer you mentioned and as you described, I mean, the more mobile ones, but there's also the shipping containers that people have become very obsessed with.
Right.
Because
which is more the modular.
right.
Right.
Yeah, they'll drop like 2 shipping containers and then they'll cut them apart, do whatever they want to do with them and turn them into houses. You know what I mean? You eliminate a lot of material costs because at this point, shit, wood apparently costs more than a couple shipping containers.
That's real.
You know what I mean? Lumber is expensive as, what I mean?
Yeah.
As fuck. Like, it's expensive as shit. Like, it's so expensive. Yo, y'all think I'm playing games? Expensive.
He's not over exaggerating.
Yeah. And it just kind of like gives you the impression that things don't always stay the same.
Ha!
So but it's interesting that there's some parts of it that are kind of like there's telltales, like there's tells to it. And it's funny because Sears went out of business, but I don't know if I said this before, but Sears used to sell houses.
Think you did say that before, but
Yeah.
that's a good thing to mention because it's awesome. No one would ever think that. They do home improvement or used to,
Yeah, they used to be big on home
but
improvement.
that shit was very expensive. I priced like a bathroom or a kitchen job one
Mm-hmm.
time with them, and they were up into like $30,000-$40,000. That's probably why they're a little shut down right
That's
now.
why that's definitely why they got shut down. I think a lot of I don't really know what their supply chain and their logistics look like, but because the houses that they made and delivered back in the day still stand to this day, you can clearly tell they just went about things differently.
Right.
And because they did so, it cost them money on the other end of things, and that screwed them ultimately. Because
Okay.
everybody else got their own way of cutting corners and doing whatever they want to do.
To make
and
a loan, yeah.
and people don't even do the whole delivery of whole homes. So that hence tiny homes came into the picture.
Yes.
You got less than 100 square feet, a couple units, maybe two.
Right.
You pulled up a property. I put it on a screen. It was 2 floors, but that's not no huge house. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like you could drop that on an acre or less than an acre that you bought for about 20 to 100,000, depending on
Right.
the land value in the area you're buying it, right? And you got a home and land. You don't have to throw in a foundation. Well, you probably should throw in a foundation if you're gonna
Yeah.
if you're gonna drop a house at the like that size, a tiny home to that spec, like just dropping like a little bit of something to keep
At
it
least
from
a slab if you're not gonna put
right.
a basement in.
Yeah, at least a slab, so you don't get no crazy end results. But yeah, like tiny homes are a thing too. Like you got your mobile homes, you got the ones you build out of the shipping containers, and tiny homes have entered the market and entered the market strong. The one you showed me was just 12 grand, and that was
Right.
off Amazon.
Right.
That probably come in like a bunch of huge boxes that you just have to assemble professionally, or it's just like IKEA furniture. How long it lasts, I mean, I can't guarantee you, but that's still better than paying the amount that you can't afford to pay for a regular house.
I was just talking about that with somebody because one of my boys was talking trash to me saying how he knew I just replaced my bedroom set and I still let my dog sleep in the bed. And I said,
Oh,
damn straight. I even bought my bed is like a minimalist, drop down super low because my
oh,
mama dog is old as shit and
oh,
she's pretty fat.
can't.
So I ain't want to have no
Chunky dog.
struggles to
Chunky
make sure she
dog.
could get in there.
Yeah.
But I bought my whole bedroom set for probably like $1,000. That's bed, mattress, a TV stand,
You got back spring?
a dresser, a box spring.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think this one needed it because
Oh,
it's like
okay,
the
okay.
minimalist bed, so it's very low and
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
yeah. So, but it's nice thick mattress. I think I got like a 12 or a 14, whatever the hell inch or whatever it is, however it
whatever
works.
that is,
You know what I'm saying? But it's good. But I didn't spend a lot of money because yeah, I do have animals and they are possibly gonna help like tear it up in a quicker manner.
Not
than
help.
what.
They're gonna tear it up.
Yeah, they're gonna tear it
They're
up.
gonna tear
They've
that
already
shit
teared
up.
it up.
Let's keep it real.
Rip the headboard a little
gonna
bit.
tear that
You
shit
know what
up.
I'm
They
saying?
gonna
My
chew
little
on that hoe.
pleather. Yeah, they not too bad. They don't chew too much.
Oh, thank
They don't
God.
chew too much.
Thank God.
Yeah, I'm thankful for
That's
that.
real good.
But yeah. I was just talking about that, just having that conversation today about how like, yeah, stick with what you can afford. Don't like why go all outside of your means. I
Right.
told my people I put my whole bedroom set together off Amazon and bought a chest off Bob's.
Right. I mean, that's Bob's Discount Furniture.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if Bob's is all over the world, but we got the flagship store in Manchester. If you're a Connecticut native, you know where they at, you know where they be. Support them. And not only do they got the new section, they also got the clearance section, and
Yeah,
their clearance is pretty big.
What they call it? Like the it's like the stuff that's a little got a couple little dents and dings on it, a little dent and ding.
I know, yeah, they got like a backroom name. I just forget it.
Yeah,
I just
can't
call it
remember
clearance
now.
at this point.
But yeah, you get a little discounts on something. Might got a little something on it, but
Little something,
anybody
something.
gonna notice.
Look, if it's white dried up and you don't know what it is, don't Don't buy that. Don't buy that. Don't
He tweaking.
don't buy that. You scratches, rips, maybe. Dings, okay. Liquids,
Yeah,
solids, definitely not. So
tweaking.
that's just a mini guide on buying furniture
There you
from
go.
your local expert realtor. You know,
Real talk. Back to the tiny homes and
but
mobile.
yeah, back to the tiny homes. They function much the same as like a mobile home or a trailer or a shipping container that you build. You got to figure out what the infrastructure is going to look like. You
Right.
got to plan ahead because that's all going to be in your costs. So you might forego the $400,000 house and probably come out of pocket to build something very comfortable for at max probably 150,000. If you're really low ending it, $20,000 land, $12,000 house, and if you get lucky with public water, land, like sewer and water, then you just running pipes. You may be touching the ceiling. You know what I mean?
Right.
Over like 150. But if you could be a little bit more flexible because you're not building a house, then you could probably stretch like 200, 250 and do a little nice something, a little nice, a little nice shit.
I think what you're saying right now is very important because most people see these tiny houses and they're like, oh, 30,000. I'm out of here.
Right.
And there's a lot that goes into it to
There's
get
more.
it running properly. Obviously, like you say, you need water and septic, and electrical. But that's probably the least of your worries.
Right.
Is getting the electrical going because that's just running a line. But those other things are gonna cost. So when you're thinking about these things, you're thinking about tiny homes. You're thinking about like, oh, I'm gonna sell my house, go buy a piece of land, and do this and this and that.
Right.
Don't just believe you can do it with $50,000 because he just broke down to you that yeah, even if the cost for the property is less than 50, the surrounding development that'll need to be done to get it working is going to be through the roof
Right.
because it's not going to be like general contractor stuff. You're going to be talking a commercial something. And you should definitely, before you purchase the land, be checking with the town to make sure that you can put these infrastructures in as you're doing it. You have to make sure this is a residential district, or a mixed use district or whatever it is based off what you're going to be doing with the property, even probably the tiny house, because depending on how affluent the area is,
Right.
you putting a little small tiny house next to a bunch of $350,000 properties might not be something you could do. So
Right.
before you jump on a piece of land for a good price, make sure that it's what do they call it?
The zoning
The
laws.
zoning laws of
Yeah.
it basically support you doing whatever you're planning on doing, and work closely with your town as we've learned ourselves through previous experiences to make
Right.
sure that you're going to do everything the right way, get the right permits, pay the right fees, because it's best for you in the end, especially if it's not something you're keeping, you'll be selling.
Right.
You never know what could happen.
Yeah, and I mean, as with anything, most things in real estate, you could get an agent that could put that whole thing together for you, and you just sit back and you pay the money, and they'll project manage it for you. If you get a high enough, competent, a competent enough realtor, as like either of us would be, to put something like that together, it's possible for you to sit back and just let it go. But I would consider modular homes, tiny homes, to be a DIY experience because you are trying to eliminate a lot of costs. So you paying for someone to do all that wouldn't make sense, but you have to become knowledgeable at the same time. The zoning, planning, whatever department they want to name it, is probably going to be your planning department. It's probably going to be your building department, your land use, etc. Make sure those are your best friends. Yeah, you gotta make sure you visit them, bring them some cookies, some cake. I don't know, maybe some rice, whatever they need. If they diabetic, don't bring them any of what I just said. Just bring them something nice. You're gonna become their friend, and you're gonna know firsthand what you can and you cannot do. And I mean, it's not anything complicated. They'll let you know, off basic courtesy, get to know them, and then you'll just start running from there. Pull your permits, get your work done, know what you should be doing and what they should be doing to meet you at a certain location. Because sometimes the city or the town, etc., they'll run piping for you depending on how far into your land it goes. They generally don't go into private property, but you might need to have them run it off a street to the curb.
Right.
at least, and then you're going to be running everything into the property. So there's quite a bit to consider, like Ryan mentioned. And yes, along with zoning laws, with putting up a freestanding building, like putting out mini home or modular home or any kind of home you want to build on your own land, you got to think that some people have had the idea that, hey, I have a ex family member, or hey, I got a cousin, or I got a mom, I got a grandma. She got 2 acres of land and she only got like this small little home on it. Like, what if I just dropped a tiny home in the backyard? You still got to go to the town because effectively it would be considered, I believe, an accessory unit or something like that. Something like a, not an in-law, I would say per se. There's a specific term for it. I don't have it at the top of my head, but it becomes something different in terms of zoning laws, especially if your town has language in regard to that. So if you get in a situation where the town has to come out or they become aware, you could very much face fines and eviction from that property because you didn't follow the proper
Right.
procedures.
Right.
So all of that is very good things that you should be aware of before you proceed with any dropping of tiny homes or mobile homes, etc. And I don't want to keep yapping because we actually do have, some like what the heck is it's escaping me because I was going to talk about Christians thing because I think that's a big component of what people don't know because you're trying to buy a mobile home or a tiny home. You think financing is certainly difficult for some people, but they're affordable. So you could just do, especially off Amazon. You get an Amazon card. They probably do your payment plan or something.
Yeah. If you
But
got a high enough credit to get that much,
right,
which is
high enough.
possible, or you
Right,
have a business account, you could
right.
probably do it.
You might have to get like a personal loan if you don't have
Right.
that cash
That
sitting
was what
around.
was floating around in my head.
Right. So
Easiest way.
financing still comes back up. You
Right.
know what I mean? But I was talking about like for mobile homes, it's tough to find financing because mobile homes tend to cost a lot more than tiny homes or like anything else you're building by hand because they're prefabbed as well. They come fully done up. And the one you said that your family had was like a 3 bedroom, 2 bath type.
Right.
That's not going to be cheap out the gate per se.
It depends on where you do it at.
That's true.
It
It does
depends
depend.
on like where, because I mean, if it's like new, then
Mm,
yeah, it might cost a little bit, but some of the older ones are just as nice because it's such a common thing. So I
right.
think depending on where your area is, some places it's a common thing to have those houses or trailers or mobile homes, whatever you want to call it.
Hmm.
So, the pricing is not that bad, but then you have the difference of like what you were saying, if you then use a park versus buying your own land,
Right.
which that's like the difference of buying a single family home versus buying a condo. Because
Right.
if you go to the park, now you're gonna be paying fees to the whoever's in charge of that little subdivision of the mobile park.
Right.
There's dues and things like that have to be paid. Whereas if you buy your own land, I mean, you still have fees, you have to pay taxes, insurance, things of that nature.
Right.
But it's just dictated off of whatever, surrounding that property, whatever that would be assessed at.
Right.
You know,
So at the moment, like if we were to pull up a house on the MLS and it's a mobile home, you'll see the listing price similar to some homes. Not
yes.
a lot of them are really cheap. I mean, don't get me wrong. You can find a mobile home for under 100,000, but in Connecticut right now, 100,000 is about where they are.
Right.
And still $100,000, no one's got cash for that.
Right.
So you're going to be looking for financing. And the great part of what I'm about to say right now is because in Connecticut, CHAFA, the Connecticut Housing Finance Authority, just dropped a
Good
mobile
job.
home. They just dropped a mobile home purchasing program to help with first time home buyers buying mobile homes. And that's so important because, yeah, you might think that you could try an FHA, but FHA is very strict.
Right.
Like you need to meet certain conditions for FHA to give you a loan for a home,
Right.
especially a mobile home.
Yeah, you might not even be able to find a bank who can do it.
Right. You might not even be able to find a bank that can do it. And I'm working with a client right now. It's the same case where we're working with our usual magic workers, but like just the organization itself on the way it lends does not want to deal with mobile homes because it's still technically to them a personal property to some degree. because you could pick that up and you could just bounce. You could throw that
Yeah, but
on.
why does that matter where it's at? You can run off with it. You can run
Yeah.
off on the plug.
You can run off on the plug. You run off on with the bank. You know what I mean? It depends on. I think that the factor that will determine whether I
Stop
think
paying
I
and
don't
run to the next state.
right. Like I don't know. I'm not a financial expert or a specialist. I gotta get him back on the gotta get him back on the pod and ask him this. But I feel like what would really make the difference whether they can fund it or not is how permanent the structure is. You know what I mean?
Take the wheels off.
Right. But the beauty of the Chaffa program that just came out is that you can get pretty much almost 0% down. I think that I just saw a post from them. Yeah, they did a 0% down on a mobile home purchase for the first time, I believe, in their company's history, and maybe nearly the state. I got to check on that. But 0% down on a mobile home purchase. And that sounds lit. But you got to remember that there's risks involved for them. So since there's risk, there's requirements on that program. And the top requirement on that is that your mobile home has to be located in a Connecticut state licensed mobile home park. So they got to know where that house is parked. And I have a sneaking suspicion that the authority made it that way because if you were to then move the home out the state licensed park, you're dealing with a whole skew of problems.
Right, they're gonna get notified as well.
Right, it's almost like a immediate. Like,
right.
Yo, this dude's pulling off with the house that you just lent him $100,000
He just
for.
ran off on the plug.
Yeah, don't run off on the plug, yo. Let the banks do them. If you cannot use them, I mean, hey, do you? You got a lot of money on hand. It's never wrong to put that money in a house. It's a nice piggy bank.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It may go bad. It may have some lows, but usually it's always going to be back up to a high at some point.
Right. I mean, look, 2008 and before, that whole decade, a lot of people lost big. But at the same time, if you were buying like a madman, you'd be a multi-millionaire.
Real talk.
It's crazy. It's crazy to think about it like that, but
here's the crazier thing to think about. When we were buying houses in 08, we thought, oh, the market is high, the interest rates are high.
Yeah.
And now they're both even higher. But for those people who think it's going to get better, you're kind of foolish because the same way this hasn't gone back to 08, aside from in the middle of Corona, where no one was really trying to scoop things up like that. It doesn't go backwards. We don't reset. We don't go back into the 800s and start doing horse and buggies, right? Technology gets better. Things get more expensive. Those people who are waiting for prices to go down and interest rates go down, bro, jump on it now while it is where it is, and maybe 5-10 years from now, the place that you're sitting in will be worth $100,000 more, like houses from 2008 are right now. But trying to think that you're gonna catch some low, you're basically asking for an economical crisis to occur.
Right, or some federal level action, and we all know how that goes. So
There you go.
You know what I mean? Like building a house is expensive as hell. So that's why people aren't building them left and right as they used to. You know what I mean? People used to buy thousands of acres, throw down subdivisions, throw down some houses, sell them for X, Y, Z a pop. You know what I mean? Now it's not the case. Yeah. Now it's not the case because honestly, people can't afford to make individual houses. They got to put up apartments, and you're going to see a lot of apartments around, East Hartford, Greater Hartford, and a lot of other states, especially new states, because they're a lot more affordable to build.
Right.
So,
makes sense.
I feel like we've been yapping for a minute.
We went in.
So we got to give y'all a break. We got to take a break before this camera overheats, shuts down on us.
Right.
Thank you guys for watching as usual. Please keep on following our content. Leave us a comment. A sub would be much appreciated. A like, we may shout you out for it.
Yeah.
Nah, we can't tell who likes. But yeah. Drop a comment and we can tell who commented. You know what I mean?
And we will throw you out there. So like, share, subscribe. And we out of here. Appreciate y'all.
Deuces.
Peace.